Pit Boys, Southside Stizzy, Zoo Gang, PNB, Brickyard Mafia, Topsiders, 5th Street, 7th Street, Wilson Park. Time is up, or you're gonna go to the jail.
We the ones that preach the murder rate. They know 1G, he get active. They know 1G, he get active. They know 1G, he get active. Boy, we banging like Morant, but he throw bullets like it's Madden.
Multiple murders, multiple shootings, multiple convictions for horrific killings, very often of people they did not target, that occurred over a period of time.
They get behind me, I'm gonna do the dash. Fast break, Clay gon' get up close and turn you into gas. Yes, we tryna duck at diamonds, we got victims who not coming back. We thought Shrimp hit him on his block, he claimed he never lacked. How you do the drill, get caught for like what type time is that?
Why the DA on us trying to frame us? I'm just trying to pop shit to the ops and get famous.
Ultimately, this case is about YBC. And YBC, sometimes known as the Young Bag Chasers, has a new name. I didn't invent it, somebody else did. The new name is you've been charged, and the newer name is you've been convicted.
Major gang bust tonight. 5 accused members are off the streets. The district attorney's office says the group was behind several shootings over the past 2 years.
Oh, free my man Yuckins, man. Cases in here, free buckets, man.
In 2017, Philadelphia elected Larry Krasner as the next district attorney. He ran as a progressive and a challenge to the old establishment of criminal justice. The power of the DA's office is immense and far-reaching. The people that have had interactions with the criminal justice process in Philadelphia know all too well that the decisions made inside the courthouse could have life-changing ramifications. Krasner's philosophy was that the system was rotten and had to be addressed from the inside. He made radical, sweeping changes on day one in office. Krasner is part of a wave of progressive DAs who took office in the wake of Donald Trump's election. Lawrence Krasner was elected as a Philadelphia County District Attorney in November 2017 and took office in January 2018. During his first week in office, Krasner sought the resignation of 30 assistant district attorneys. The ones who didn't oblige were fired. This was a swift and stern warning that things were about to change. In a lawsuit filed by 2 of the fired former DAs, Krasner is cited as saying the fired officials were, quote, overly aggressive prosecutors who, quote, did not recognize or care about Brady violations and lacked commitment to pursuing justice and freeing innocent people. A Brady violation is when a prosecutor fails to provide a defendant with evidence that is favorable to their case. This is a violation of the defendant's constitutional right to a fair trial and due process. Opponents of Krasner have long criticized him for his progressive and woke ideology. Richard Sachs, a longtime homicide prosecutor who retired last year, said the dismissals appear, quote, personal and vindictive and would cause lasting damage to the office. Lieutenant Philip Rail of the Philadelphia Police Department's homicide unit said, quote, these career prosecutors were dismissed in a classless and callous manner. The entire system lost today. Lady Justice wears a blindfold to signify impartiality and fairness in the legal process. Larry Krasner says that he was trying to stick to that philosophy. The last time a city police officer was convicted for an on-duty killing was during the Carter administration in 1978. Marcus Giardino, who pleaded guilty in 1978 to involuntary manslaughter for fatally shooting Michael Carpenter, a 19-year-old black man, in the back during a traffic stop. During his first week in office in 2018, Krasner pledged to go after officers who violate the law. These prosecutions, he said, are the result of following the facts, being fair, and keeping his word. Most recently, he won the city's first ever murder conviction against an officer who killed a 12-year-old boy while on duty. Edzual Mendoza fatally shot Thomas Siderio in March of 2022. He pleaded guilty to third-degree murder on April 18th earlier this year. In all, Krasner filed charges in 4 cases where an officer discharged their firearm, resulting in death. In addition to Mendoza, Krasner also filed charges against 3 other officers. Before Krasner became DA, he was a civil rights activist lawyer. While historically district attorney offices and police departments work on the same, quote, team, Krasner has sued the police no less than 75 times, creating an obvious wedge between the 2 law enforcement arms. Philadelphia was used to tough-on-crime DAs like Lynn Abraham and Seth Williams. Williams' nearly 10-year tenure ended in a flurry of controversy and criminal charges to boot. Before Williams, like I said, it was Lynn Abraham who oversaw 108 death penalty convictions in her nearly 20 years of service. She was at one time dubbed the Queen of Death and the deadliest DA in the U.S. Her tough on crime stance led to more death row sentences than any other large city in the country. Her fight with then Mayor Frank Rizzo in the early 70s made her a media darling, and she rode that wave politically all the way until 1991 when she was elected as district attorney.
I don't know who's missing the conversation, but we just have to keep doing as much as we possibly can, because again, this at this point, we don't need to keep having these conversations, and something has to stop, and we're going to work together to figure that out, but it has to be immediate because this can't continue.
District Attorney Larry Krasner joins us now live in studio here. It has to stop and it has to be immediate. I think the entire city would agree with Deputy Commissioner Stanford there. We've had it. I mean, the city has had it. So we want you, Mayor Kenny, and Commissioner Outlaw to do something about it. His impeachment hearing, which we just did on Thursday, Friday, you can also ask him why he keeps letting juveniles back out on the street with gun charges only to end up murdering people. Please ask him some of these questions. So, DA Krasner, I think you have a perception problem. There is this perception in this city that the reason for all this gun violence is you.
Well, I don't. And I'll tell you why I don't. There was an election. It happened in November. We took more than 2/3 of all Democrats and 72% of the city. There are people who want to put out the idea that there's a perception problem, but the reason we're going through this is they know they cannot defeat these ideas in an election.
Every cop I talk to says it's a too lenient district attorney.
The perception is there for political reasons and only within certain communities. As I said, maybe they could explain why I'm getting 84% support in areas that are most affected by gun violence. Those areas have not been helped by doing things like it was still 1954. They are looking for help, and they're looking for it the way that we are going.
According to your website, 65% of all cases have been withdrawn or dismissed. When it comes to gun possession, 49% of them withdrawn or dismissed. And then 66% of violent offense cases have been withdrawn or dismissed. Do you think that that's what people are referring to then? They feel like it's not being prosecuted, people are not being held to task?
So I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about the data. The fact is our conviction rate for homicide cases when we get to trial is nearly 90%. It is higher than my predecessors, and we're doing it without lying, cheating, stealing, and putting innocent people in jail. Lie. I mean, let's just get down to it. Republicans lie. That is what they do. 8 of the 10 cities without, well, okay, that's right. Not all of them do, but the MAGA ones do. 8 out of 10 of the most violent cities are Trump cities. Like, we got to get real about this. Facts matter. Law matters.
So the perception about you is there, and I still say the perception is there. Right or wrong, DA Krasner, maybe for a fresh start, resign. That doesn't even cross your mind, does it?
No, because the fact is Philadelphia voted for me overwhelmingly because they want what we are doing.
Krasner's predecessor followed the politics as usual playbook. But when Krasner was elected, he took on not only the police and former DAs, he also vowed to take on gangs and drill rappers in the city as well. In August of 2022, he sent warning shots to O to the 4 and the now famous "You Like That Name?" press conference.
Today we want to send a very clear message to the members of O to the 4. You like that name? How about go to the jail? Because that is where you're going to go.
Larry Krasner was pretty clear with his intentions at this point, but some rappers took it as a joke and didn't give those words the respect they deserved. But many would soon find out that these were not empty threats.
Ain't nobody in this city could fuck with us, and I heard Larry Krasner keep on saying that he had enough of us. Don't trust no bitch, I don't know.
In August of 2023, Leif Ward was hit with 3 felony charges after he was arrested outside of the King of Prussia Mall, located about an hour northeast of the city. When he was initially arrested, he told officers that his name was Omar Washington. Omar is the name of his manager, Lil O, and the arresting officers added the charge of providing false identification to law enforcement, which is a felony to his other charges. His other charges included possessing a firearm as a convicted felon, several drug-related misdemeanors, evading and resisting arrest, and recklessly endangering another person. Leaf is currently awaiting trial on his case, which the feds picked up because of his status as a felon in possession of an illegal handgun.
Today we want to send a very clear message to the members of O to the 4. You like that name? How about go to the jail? Because that is where you're going to go. Get ready, O to the 4, to go to the jail. Because that is what's going to happen. That is what justice looks like, and that is what you deserve.
DA showed the judge my pics and asked him why I got a gun. Tell a DA eat a dick, why I explain myself to him.
There's not much of you left. That's why you're starting CCK. CCK is going away.
Lil Bucks is one of the top 3 most popular drill rappers from Philly. But even with the success of his music, he wasn't able to avoid Krasner's crosshairs, along with members from his gang who started to fall in 2021 and 2022. He himself will be forced to sit down for a minute when he was at the peak of his popularity in 2023. Larry Krasner put the most attention on Lil Bucks and his gang, O to the 4. His initial press conference in 2022 was to announce the arrest of the gang along with the arrest of 524 members, which is a gang that they were beefing with at the time. And there were multiple shootings and homicides as a result of this beef. I break the whole thing down in my Larry Krasner Dismantles O to the 4 video. Krasner mentioned O to the 4 and CCK the most out of all of the gangs over the years, and he literally dismantled the gang by putting the shooters and steppers away for a long time, including Pistol P, Hefe, Skip, Ghost, and 3K, and many others. Lil Bucks was arrested on a probation violation and eventually sentenced to boot camp. Lil Bucks is expected home by the end of 2024.
Things I say made up, they nobody. I'm innocent, I never shot nobody. And I picked the backseat before I ride shot.
PNB/Tortures was a group from Uptown or Germantown. They follow behind the PNB Rocks and the PNB Means of the city, and the rapper Hop Out Blick made a name for himself in the drill rap scene due to his alliance with YBC Duel and his disrespectful lyrics. Blick was fresh on the scene in 2022, but by 2023, Larry Krasner had a warrant out for his arrest. In April of 2023, members from the Tortures went to meet 5 members of another gang to sell guns. PNB, or the Tortures, allegedly intended to rob the other side of their weapons and cash, but something went wrong and shots rang out from both sides. 3 teens were killed and a 16-year-old was injured in a gunfire. 14-year-old Salah Fleming was found by police in the living room, shot 4 times. His best friend, 17-year-old Malik Ballard, was found collapsed on the sidewalk in front of the house, shot 3 times. And Khalif Fresgy, 17, was also shot as he was found lying on the front porch. Police ended up charging Kaiser Reeves, or Hop Out Blick, who was 19, and Tyree Lennon, or F.A., or some called him Doughboy, who was 23, with murder, attempted murder, and related crimes. 2 additional suspects, Taj Lennon, or Baby Stu, who's a cousin to Tyree Lennon, and Kevin Yip, or BD, were also arrested and charged with homicide in this case. So what ended up happening here is PNB from Germantown was trying to backdoor No Chills, which is a little group that's a part of Zoo Gang from North Philly. 3 young teenagers lost their life, like I said, and another was shot, and by August 2024, all 5 PNB members were arrested and charged. Even though Krasner only mentioned PNB by name once in an early press conference, just the same as a lot of other groups in this video, Krasner dismantled the PNB/Tortures by arresting and charging the most dangerous members. Lynn from the Torture was also charged with a murder for his alleged role in a May 2022 shooting at a gas station in Monterey.
Ultimately, this case is about YBC, sometimes known as the Young Bag Chasers, has a new name. The new name is you've been charged, and the newer name is you've been convicted.
Ooh, they trying to hit us with the RICO, we got bodies and bowls. 5 B's this year, trying to catch 10 more before the indictment hit. I'm out on bail, DA keep trying to raise me.
YBC was probably one of the biggest gang dismantlings I've seen in a while. Back in 2020, YBC/YFA were a very large set out of West Philly. They presented themselves in large numbers in music videos, and people that actually know them knows a lot of people were affiliated with YBC/YFA. But by the time Larry Krasner had something to say about that in 2022, YBC Duel and Lil Moo decided to mock Krasner in a video soon after his now famous press conference.
You got
Shot him through his dick. He had a fetish for the coochie. Guys hopped out with the yours on his feet. He getting booed. Look.
And you will know very soon why. I'm encouraging you to do that. The young bag chasers.
In 2022, Curry, aka 30, along with F5, were arrested and charged with the murder of 2 people in a July 2021 shooting in West Philly. Reek and 1K were arrested along with Baby Wick and charged with 2 murders, and Wick was charged with conspiracy. Mirpab and Yak Yola were arrested in 2024 and charged with a murder that happened back in 2023. That's just 6 members right there, and there are many, many more members sitting in jail for crimes ranging from murders to shootings to illegal gun possession. The well-known rappers aren't the only ones that were caught up.
My youngest, they gon' shoot you till you can't breathe. That's why most my niggas in them prisons can't leave.
In 2019, the 27th vs. Tasker Street bus was one of his first big gang takedowns. This is the beef Leaf Ward used to rap about all the time.
Drops. When we bounce, this shit gon' take us 3 minutes tops. My driver best in Philly, I ain't worried about no cops. She gon' help me body something, I'ma get her body done. That was us behind your brother, I could tell you how he run. I gave him a Glock, 23, went and got him one. Her nigga a killer, she gon' talk to niggas how she want.
This, along with the prior 2017 bus targeting the same groups, Krasner and authorities slowed down this brutal war that was holding Grace Ferry hostage. 8 people were arrested following a joint investigation into a homicide and a retaliatory shooting linked to rival groups from the Grace Ferry neighborhood, Attorney General Josh Shapiro announced in a press conference. It said in a 2019 article about the situation, a grand jury investigation stemmed from 2 December 2017 shootings involving 2 South Philadelphia gangs, it said. One based around 27th and Tasker Streets, the other around 31st and Taskers, authorities said. Josh Shapiro said the 2 rival groups, which identified themselves based on their turf, 27th Street and 31st and Tasker, have fought over petty slights, posts on social media, and generational grudges. Diamond Street FM, a well-known and proud representative of 23rd and Diamond, was arrested in 2022 and charged with illegal gun possession. The feds ended up picking up the case because of his illegal gun possession and the switch attachment he had on it. A large part of the evidence against FM were his own Instagram posts and stories. I broke down the whole situation in a video on Diamond Street FM.
Police keep asking, I don't know about them headshots. And I'm just rapping, don't you take me by no dead ops.
G12 Zai is another person with their own dedicated video that you can check out on my channel. Zai represents M24 from Alney. His sing-song melody style of drill rap was unique, and he pretty much owned that sound before his arrest would send his momentum to a screeching halt. His arrest in 2023 for multiple gun possessions had him sitting in jail and could possibly threaten any music career he thought about having.
Nigga passed me to the eye before he snaked me out. The judge knew the card cause I got it without no doubt.
A Philadelphia rapper known as Lil Bape was taken into custody in connection to the April shooting death of a 16-year-old in May of 2023. Nearly a month after the deadly shootings, authorities say Clark surrendered to police. Bape's co-defendant and fellow drill rapper HBN was also arrested and charged in this case.
I got a player on a bench for every op taker. This bitch asked me what I do. I'm an op chaser. Off my shop.
Lil Buck's associate Sonny Goon was recently arrested earlier this summer for being caught talking to Bucks on a jail recorded phone with a switch. I break the whole situation down in this video. Sonny was with the other CCK members talking to Lil Bucks when he flashed his gun, and the matter was forwarded to police by prison officials, and Sonny was arrested about a month later.
B and G, which stands for the Big Natty Gang.
Larry Krasner also went after B&G, or Big Natty Gang, which just formed less than 3 years ago. Krasner and authorities used the investigation to help federal prosecutors indict the larger Omerta/Zoo gang members that B&G was under. In all, about 15 people were arrested and charged between the B&G and Omerta cases.
Bro just told me run my movie before it stopped because them feds coming. Yeah, double shit.
Brady is from the Parkside section of the city, and he claimed certified clappers, or the double C's. They go at it with M24 and G12 Zai, who I just mentioned earlier. But unlike everybody else on this list, this wasn't a case that the Philly DA would try. A murder happened in Norristown on Thanksgiving night in 2021. Brady pleaded guilty in Montgomery County Court to charges of third-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder in connection with the November 25, 2021 gunshot slaying of Eddie Moctezuma, who was eating Thanksgiving dinner in his Arch Street residence in Norristown. Brady's guilty plea came one day after Kayvon Clark, 20, of Norristown, pled guilty to charges of third-degree murder and recklessly endangering another person and was sentenced to 20 to 40 years in prison. And Dex, fellow certified clappers member and drill rapper, pleaded guilty to charges of third-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder, and he was sentenced to 25 to 50 years in prison. Brady was sentenced to 25 to 50 years in prison. Hardy, another certified clappers member, is sitting in jail at the moment. For some reason, I can't seem to find what he's booked for, but he's been there since last year.
This morning, police arrested a suspect wanted for firing the bullet that killed a man while he was enjoying Thanksgiving dinner with his family in Norristown. U.S. Marshals took 19-year-old Kayvon Clark into custody in Southwest Philadelphia. Action News reporter Jacqueline Lee is live at the Norristown Police Department with today's new developments. Jacqueline.
Sarah, I just got off the phone with the victim's sister. She says the family does feel relieved that this alleged killer is off the streets, but of course they are still very sad that they lost her brother's life here on this earth. And so she says she just wants justice for Eddie. Around 11 o'clock this morning, U.S. Marshals arrested the man wanted in the murder of 25-year-old Eddie Miguel Pelez Moctezuma, who was killed by a stray bullet while eating his Thanksgiving dinner.
Well, it was sad because, like it happened on my block, and this is a nice quiet block right here. To be in Norristown.
Officials arrested 19-year-old Kayvon Clark inside his friend's house on the 5500 block of Whitney Avenue in Southwest Philadelphia. He is facing a list of charges, including first and third-degree murder.
That's a good thing. I truly believe that's a good thing. So the law did what they did.
Authorities believe the shooting was a dispute over alcohol. In the criminal complaint, they say Clark and his girlfriend were kicked out of a friend's Thanksgiving party and then were accused of stealing alcohol. The friends arrived at Clark's home to get it back when Clark allegedly walked outside and started shooting, as seen in this surveillance video. Authorities say they recovered 6 9mm casings and 740 caliber casings and 1 live round in the area of Basin and Arch Streets. An autopsy found that Pelez Moctezuma's death was caused by a single gunshot wound to the torso. And Clark will be arraigned later today. He is being held without bail. We're live in Norristown. Jacqueline Lee, Channel 6 Action News. Brian, Sarah.
Okay, Jacqueline, thank you.
Another Philly drill rapper that was snatched off the streets after being charged with murder is 1G Smoke. From Logan Valley, or LV, 1G was wanted for a 2022 murder in Philly. However, he left Philly shortly after being posted on the Most Wanted website. 1G is your typical drill rapper who rapped about his alleged work on the streets.
I swear niggas pussy, niggas get booked, start copping, please. Brody look like he got down, so he ain't never hopping over it. Your man was switching up, gasping for his life, trying to breathe. 112, we gon' still post up and tote these racks, and she got...
Law enforcement from multiple agencies apprehended 19-year-old Arnold B. Miller, or 1G Smoke, at a house he fled to in Johnstown, PA, from his Philly homicide warrant, as well as drug and firearm offenses. During the execution of the search warrants at the residence, officers seized 2 firearms, 64 alleged fentanyl pills, crack, mushrooms, marijuana, 51 alleged ecstasy pills, drug paraphernalia, and cash. 1G was charged with multiple drug and firearm offenses in that case, and he was jailed on a $1 million bond awaiting his preliminary hearing.
Niggas out here pushing peace, I'm trying to up it. If this one eye we catching with his daughter, we like fuck it.
Other rappers like Hood Tally and Hood Famous Jay have been in and out of jail the last few years as well, with Jay spending the better part of 2023 behind bars. Tally was recently released after serving over 6 months on a gun charge. All in all, I mentioned close to 42 rappers and people closely affiliated with them, and that's not even the tip of the iceberg. The meme is that Larry Krasner put belt to ass on the drill rappers, and all jokes aside, he kinda did. Many young boys' favorite rappers are locked up at the moment, and depending on who you ask, that's a good thing.
My message to some of these groups is a little bit different. We did a press conference not all that long ago about a group called O to the 4. And at that time, we said O to the 4 was going to go to the jail, and they did. Not the same day, but soon enough. Years of hard work, years of the use of forensic technology, good investigation, excellent detective work, meant we weren't just promising O to the 4 go to the jail. O to the 4 went to the jail. That's what happened. Well, when you take down one group, sometimes they scatter and join up with other groups. And we're here to talk about some of that as well. There is a group known as 524. Well, some of what we're going to talk about today will close the jailhouse door on 524. We're going to talk about CCK. CCK is going away. They better get ready. We're going to talk about a group known as 56th Street, and also sometimes called Christie Rec, because they can be found near Christie Rec at times. Well, we got a new kind of rec. We got a new kind of recreation for members of the group Christie Rec. You might call it SCI Rec, State Correctional Institution Rec. Christie Rec is going to get yard time. They're going to be walking that circle or walking that square. Their rec time is going to be when the jail says you can go out now, and then the jail says you can come back in. That's what's coming. I hope you hear me, 524. I hope you hear me, CCK. I hope you hear me, 56th Street and Christie Rec. Because we are watching what you are doing now. We are watching what you did in the past. And a ton of the credit for this work has to go to the incredible work of our gun violence task force, led by
Rookie of the year, but all the shooters say that I'm a vet. Niggas get in jails and start copping, they won't rep they set. They like Campbell, you still on probation, you back to a sticks. This gun not for safety, if I see it, op out, hit his mid. Put up, so what you stand for? We really hop out cuts and stop your breathing, like we got her something. How you trying to beef with us and you ain't even got a gun? Thought her child was innocent, but now that girl don't got a son.
Here to announce charges against, mostly against the opposite side of that conflict, which is a group known as 524. Also charged, however, were members of a group, as the DA talked about, that goes by 56th Street or Christie Rec, or they go by Clappers as well. And this group has joined up with O to the 4, really what's left of O to the 4 at this point, which isn't much, to form a new group called CCK, which stands for Campers, Clappers, and Clappers. The first Clappers and the second C in that group being 56th Street, Campers being another name for O to the 4, and Clappers with a K being a group that associates with 7th Street in South Philadelphia. This has essentially become a coalition of groups that don't have many members left on the street, so have tried to sort of scrape together what they can at this point to form a new group.
As of September 21st, there have been 189 murders in the city of Philadelphia, down 40% from this time last year. Because of the pandemic and other factors, including, some would argue, Larry Krasner's own policies, the murder rate skyrocketed from 2020 through 2022. But it has been steadily falling the last few years, and I will argue that Larry Krasner has at least something to do with that. I'm gonna leave it there for now. Thanks for watching American Confidential, and until next time, be safe.